Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of the heat press challenge video. Now on this video, we're going to be testing out 2 new heat presses. If you guys watched part 1, we tested 5 heat presses that we got from Amazon that were under $300. These are the next 2 that we're going to be pressing and testing. On top of this, we're also going to be testing out the Cricut press again. This is going to be the second test. Now we're going to be doing a second test because we didn't think that we tested this the proper way. We only did a 7-second press like we normally do with a heat press. But because this is kind of like an iron, we're going to increase that to 30 seconds on each area, and we're going to give that another test so that it can compare with these heat presses. Now lastly, you want to watch to the very end because we're going to be pressing on these shirts and we're going to be doing a wash test so we can find the final results, and then we're going to find out which is the winner, and we're going to crown the king of these heat presses under $300. So for number 6, I have a PowerPress heat press. Now this one is rated 4.4 stars on Amazon. It has 3,760 ratings at this time of the video. It is a 15 by 15 and it only costs $199. So it's a pretty budget-friendly heat press. Now a couple things about this heat press as well. It has a built-in digital controller that's in the machine. It's 1400 watts. It comes standard to plug into your 110 volt outlet, and it comes with a Teflon sheet. And of course, it has a handle for you to pull against the heat press. So that's some of the pros on this heat press machine. So we did do a thorough review on this heat press. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure you guys watch that video. We go in depth with the pressure, with the heat, and all the elements that are here. So that's gonna give you a very good comparison with other heat presses. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys a quick summary on what we're working with here. This heat press took roughly about 6 minutes and 10 seconds to get up to 300 degrees. Now let's go ahead and use our infrared gun to test out the heat. Now I'm getting readings of 308 in the middle. I'm getting roughly 306 on this corner. About 288 here. 277 here. 295 up here. So overall, the heat's been pretty consistent and pretty hot on this press. That's something that's good. And then now we're gonna go press onto our shirt, and then we can go ahead and check out the results afterwards. So this is going to be a Bella canvas, and I'm going to be just quickly measuring the shirt. Let's just go ahead and align this real quick. I'm gonna go end to end, do a quick crease. Going to use my 4 fingers here to align the distance between the top. Use my fingers to adjust the transfer. Again, recheck that. Okay. And again, I have all these transfers labeled so that once we do the wash test, we'll know exactly what shirt belonged to, or what transfer or what shirt belonged to which press. So that's how we're gonna tell what's the best. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this. Gonna pull down the pad here. I'm gonna push the pad in. Okay, great. Now what I'm gonna use my fingers is, or my hand is, I'm gonna smoothen this out. I just wanna make sure that there is no wrinkles here and everything is nice and smooth. And then I have it set 300 degrees, 7 seconds. Let's press. Now let's let this cool. All right, we're gonna go for the peel. Let's go ahead and grab this, remove the tape. Everything transfers, looks pretty clean. I'm gonna put the same transfer film here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a second press. Let me make sure I insert this so that it's within the heat press. And second press. All right, there you have it, guys. This is the results. I'm looking and checking the corners of the prints to make sure that everything is in. Everything looks good so far. All the letters, all the tiny details are in and pressed down. I'm looking at the actual transfer itself. What I'm noticing is the lines that are ingrained in it. So that is a good sign so far. But it comes down to the wash test, so make sure you guys follow along. I will be adding this to the wash test so that we can test this out and compare it and actually give it a rating. Now I'm gonna go over quickly what the pros and cons of this heat press was so far. Now the pros is it was easy to use. It does come with the extra Teflon sheet for you to use, which I forgot to use this time around. But it does come with the Teflon sheet. It does come with an extra fuse in case the fuse blows out. It has an automatic countdown timer with an alarm once that hits the timer. It has a adjustable pressure knob that's really easy to use here. It's also very loose, so it's very easy to adjust. It has a heat range of 280 to 320 degrees, so it is good. It has hit the 300 that we needed at the bare minimum. It's only $199 and it comes with a 1-year warranty, so that's also a pro here. Now let's talk briefly about the cons. Now it doesn't have an auto release, it doesn't have a pressure gauge, and it did take almost about 6 minutes and 10 seconds to heat up to 300 degrees. And last, there wasn't a ton of room to align the shirt, but if you're aligning outside of the press, that's not too bad at all. So that's what our initial thoughts on this is, but we do again need to do the wash test so that we can come up with a final conclusion. Now, we're gonna go on to our next press. And now this is the 7th heat press that we're testing out. This is a Royal Press 15 by 15 heat press. We also picked this up from Amazon. Now what's nice about this one is priced at $179. It has 4.5 stars on Amazon and it has 1824 ratings. Now this heat press does have a digital control with different colors. This one has a temperature, has your timer, and it also has a countdown for the number of shirts that you're doing. Now it plugs into your standard 110 outlet, and it also comes in at 1400 watts. Another bonus here is that it also has a built-in Teflon cover on the top. So this is nice, you're not gonna have to worry about a sheet. Now we did do a thorough review on this heat press. Make sure you guys watch the video, guys, if you guys haven't. We do a pressure, we do a heat test, we cover all the ins and outs. So make sure you guys watch that video. Now we've already pre-adjusted the heat press for the pressure. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply our transfers onto this shirt, and then we're gonna be wash testing this. So I'm gonna roughly do about 4 inches there, but let's go ahead and fold this first so I can get a midpoint. Gonna do a quick crease. This is gonna give me the midpoint of the design. 4 fingers, gonna be roughly right there. And then I'm just gonna use my fingers to adjust it. So let's go corner to corner, put my finger down, my hands down, and adjust. Okay, so lowering that a little bit. Okay, now that I'm gonna grab the shirt, I'm gonna pull the pad out so that I can easily grab this and adjust it. Now I'm gonna slip it in. Make sure it's all flat, make sure it's laid down. Let's just go ahead and... Okay, now I'm gonna check and make sure that everything is nice and flat. There's gonna be no wrinkles. Pressure is good, 300 degrees, 7 seconds. Let's press. Let's let it cool down. One thing I forgot to do is to use our infrared gun to test the temperature here. I did do it in the other video, but one thing I also want to mention is that this is a white coating here, so I'm not exactly sure if it's gonna affect the temperature. But what I'm getting in the middle of this press is I'm getting 275 here On the corner here, I'm getting 260, 256, about 258, 251, and then 278 there. So those are roughly what the temperature ranges are. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the transfer. Since it's all cooled, go ahead and remove. And then let's go ahead and slip it back in for that second press. Oh, it actually got caught. The tag actually got caught. So that's something to watch out for. I'm gonna have to release that by moving the handle down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the transfer. Okay, so I'm checking all the corners and all the tiny details on the words, and everything looks good so far. Everything is down. I don't see anything sticking out. And if I look closely at the transfer, you do see again the grain lines. That's a good sign that everything has enough pressure. So the next thing is we need to take this also over to our laundry so that we can do a wash test and show you guys the exact results here. Before I do that, I do want to just cover the pros and cons of this machine. Again, easy to use so far. Has a built-in Teflon sheet, automatic countdown with the alarm, adjustable pressure knob, which is right here. It has a shirt countdown, which is not something that's very common in these heat presses. And the heat range did range from 260 all the way to 290. And then the cost of it is only $179. Now let's talk briefly about the cons for this machine. There's no auto release, there's no pressure gauge. The control panel also kind of removes here, so it's not quite 100% sturdy, but it is there. It's not going to move in the way, but that's something I did want to mention. It did take almost 9 minutes to heat up to 300 degrees, so that was on the long end. And there's not a lot of room again to align the shirt. And the heat was low, and it was also very uneven. It ranged it ranged a lot from the middle all the way to the sides right there. And there's only a 30-day Amazon standard warranty on this product. So what we're gonna do is the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to test the Cricut press for a second test. Now we're gonna use more pressure this time around and give this another shot so that we can take it to the washing machine. So the last test, as I mentioned, we're gonna redo the Cricut test. This is a Cricut 12 by 10. Now we're gonna be doing something a little bit different now. I'm actually going to be using a silicone heat press pad instead of the pillow. This is gonna be harder of a surface. And I'm actually going to be increasing the timer. Instead of 7 seconds, I'm going to raise it to 30 seconds. So I think that's gonna be adequate for us to do a test comparison with their heat presses. So let's go ahead and use this shirt here. It's a Bella canvas shirt. Let's go ahead and lay it down. Making sure it's all flat. I'm going to grab our design. Now keep in mind this has test 2. So this is gonna show us the difference between test 1 and test 2. Test 1, again, we did it at 7 seconds. Test 2, I'm going to be doing it at 30 seconds. I'm also going to be doing it in 2 different spots because this doesn't fit in one shot. I'm going to be doing the top half and then the second half, 30 seconds each. And I'm also going to be putting a lot of pressure on this one, so I'm moving this right in the middle of our table. So without further ado, let's go ahead and press. Let's go ahead and lay this down and then press that button. I'm going to put a lot of weight on this. Okay. Now the second spot, so you can see the indentation. I tried as hard as I can to press this. Let's go and do second spot. Okay, let's go ahead and let this cool down. Now let's go for that peel. I am a little worried about this area, small little details. Hope there was enough pressure, but let's go ahead and peel and let's go ahead and crack this and see what's going on. All right, everything peeled fine. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and put the film back on here. I'm gonna flip it. Now I'm also gonna be pressing another 30 seconds on each side. I just wanted to give it a good thorough review and also do it the proper way. So I'm gonna do 30 seconds again. I'm gonna hold it down. Let's go ahead and put some pressure. Now guys, even if this works, I don't know if I love this. Like, it takes a lot of effort. I'm putting so much pressure into getting this through. I just hope that it has a great result when I do the wash test, but it takes a lot of effort. So I give you props for doing this, guys. This is, again, a lot of effort. It's not automatic at all. All right, last section. Again, let's do it. Now, a product has 22,000 ratings on Amazon, so I know you guys love this product. Woo! Wow, what a tricep bicep workout that was. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look closely at the results. Okay, so the corners and everything are in. Everything does transfer all the way through. Now, one thing I am noticing is that I don't see any visible lines that run across the shirt. So I don't know if it's going to 100% pass that wash test. But hey, guess what, guys? I am just as curious as you guys are. So let's take all these shirts that I just did, take it to the washer. Let's test this out. Let's find the final winner here. Let's crown that winner. So let's go. What's up, superstars? Today is the big day. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be taking a look at all the wash tests. We're gonna be giving our superstar ratings to all the heat presses. And last, we're gonna be crowning the king of the $300 heat press. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, guys, so the first press that we're gonna be talking about now is gonna be the Slender. This is the 5-in-1 heat press. We're gonna take a look at the wash test results. Let's go ahead and take a look closely. Now, we put some fonts here as well, some white prints, and everything transferred. So everything was pretty good as far as the pressure is concerned. If you look closely, you do see some grain lines that run along the shirt. Now, you also do see some areas that have less pressure than we'd like. So it bubbles up, it wrinkles a little bit more than the others. But overall, this passes the wash test. It had adequate pressure. It was not bad overall. It will last if you do a bunch of washes. We feel like, again, this one does pass the wash test. Now let's go ahead and give this a rating. Now we're gonna rate this from 1 to 5. We have a couple of parameters that we're gonna also be grading these with. Now, as far as the sturdiness, now this one we're gonna give a 2 out of 5 with the sturdiness. There was some parts that were not very sturdy. It's kind of flimsy in certain areas. It has a spring that was not very consistent. As you can see, the back has more pressure than the front. Overall, 2 out of 5 on that. Now, as far as easy to use, we also give it a 2. It doesn't turn all the way very easily with the cord there. not a lot of room to work with as far as putting the shirts there. No slide out deck, so we're gonna give it a 2. As far as the pressure with the wash test, we're gonna give that a 4. It had adequate pressure, even with the dollar bill test. The heat distribution, we're gonna give this a 2. It was on the low end. It was from 243 to 270, so it didn't quite hit the 300. You would have to compensate in order to hit the 300, and that also had a pretty big range, 243 to 270. Now the wash test, we're gonna give it a 4 because it did pass the wash test. Everything did transfer all the way through. It did ingrain all the way through without having a bunch of wrinkles, so it did deserve a 4. Now out of 5, this slender 5-in-1 is gonna get a 2.8 stars. So that's what we're gonna give it, 2.8 stars. Now let's go ahead to the next press. At number 2, we have the Vivor 15x15 press. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wash test. Now, as you guys can see earlier, we tried to do this press. It did not have enough pressure. The fine details did not even transfer through. And after the wash test, what you can see here is that there is no visible lines that run across the shirt. So it shows that it's not ingrained into the t-shirt. And you can also see some premature wrinkles here. This is a cause of not enough pressure. And you can see it really closely here that it's really wrinkled. It doesn't look right. This is not the way that the transfer is supposed to be made. So it does fail the wash test. Now we're gonna go ahead and give this our superstar ratings. Now as far as sturdiness, we're only gonna give this a 1. Check it out, even when you're using this, you can feel right away that it's not sturdy at all. It's very flimsy. Now as far as easy to use, we're also gonna give it a 1. It's very hard to access. Even when you flip it around, it's dangerous. It will flip over, so that gets a 1. Now as far as pressure, obviously it's only gonna get a 1 because it wasn't enough pressure, didn't pass the dollar bill test. Now heat distribution, this was also on the low end. It was only ranging between 175 to 203 when we originally set it at 300 degrees. So it's very low. And again, wash test, it only got 1. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. Out of 5 stars, it's only gonna get 1 star. Let's go ahead to the next press. So heat press number 3, we got the HTV RONT. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wash test. Now, when we did the heat transfer, everything transferred through, even all these thin fonts, everything transferred through, all the edges, everything was good. And you do see a little bit of some grain lines across the print, but you do see areas that don't have enough pressure. And the area here, as you can see onto the front of the flower head, it's prematurely wrinkled. So this shows that it wasn't quite enough pressure. So it doesn't quite pass the wash test here. And that's kind of what we're dealing with when we're working with the HTV RONT. Now let's go and give this our superstar rating. Now for sturdiness, I'm gonna give this a 3. It's fairly built. It does have a lot of plastic parts, but we're gonna give it a 3 out of 5. As far as easy to use, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 4. Super easy to use. I love that it has a sliding deck, automatic press, automatic release with some automatic functions as well. So we're gonna give this one a 4 for easy to use. Pressure, we're gonna give this one a 3. It does pass our dollar bill test, but overall, I don't have a way to increase the pressure, so we're gonna give that a 3. Heat distribution, we're also gonna give this a 3. We're testing the heat, and we got between 243 to 275, so it's not bad, but it doesn't quite hit our 300 mark. So again, a 3 for that. Now wash test, that's where it's not gonna pass. We're only gonna give that a 2 out of 5. So 2 out of 5 on the wash test. And overall, out of 5, this one's gonna get a 3 stars. So 3 out of 5, HTV RONT. Let's go to the next press. So at number 4, we have the Cricut Easypress 2. This is again the 12x10 size. Now let's go and take a look at the wash test. And remember, we did 2 different tests here. The first one, we just did a 7-second press and peel. And then the second one, we did a 30-second press and peel. I really wanted to give this a better shot here and spend more time. But as you can see, the results, everything did transfer all the way through. I did use all my body weight for pressure. And again, everything transferred through. But if you look deeply and carefully inside, you do not see the grain lines that are running along the shirt. and you do see a lot of premature wrinkling here. So it's all over the shirt. You see it on the skull, you see it on the head, premature wrinkling. And even at the 30-second press, which I was thinking it would increase the pressure, you're still seeing the same wrinkling that you're getting here. So wrinkling all around, wrinkling on the head of the flower. So for the superstar rating on this Cricut, what we're gonna do is, for sturdiness, we're gonna give it a 3. Overall, it's built pretty well. It's heavy enough for it to stand alone by itself. It has good amount of weight. So again, for sturdiness, we're gonna give it a 3 out of 5. Now for being easy to use, we're gonna give this a 4 out of 5. Even though it took a lot of pressure from me to hold this down, it was pretty easy to use. It's kind of like using an iron. Very straightforward. Buttons are super easy as well. This one's gonna get a 4 out of 5 on the easy to use. Now as far as pressure, obviously I wasn't able to get a good amount of pressure on this one, so I'm just gonna give it a 2 out of 5. It did take a lot of effort to press down. And now heat distribution, when we test out the heat element here, we were getting a range from 225 to 238, so it didn't quite hit the 300. We're gonna go ahead and give this one a 2. Now for the wash test results, we give this one 2 tries to get this one done. It just didn't hit the benchmark. We're gonna give this a 2 for the wash test results. Now out of 5 stars, the Cricut press, we're gonna give this 2.6 out of 5. Let's go and get to the next press. So at number 5, we got the Vivo Home 8-in-1 heat press. Now let's go and take a look at the wash test results. Now the wash test results was actually pretty surprising. It was really good actually. All the little details transferred through, all the letters, all the corners, and you can actually see some grain lines that are running across the whole transfer. From the bottom, the middle, all the way to the head, everything was embedded very, very well. This is gonna last a very long time. This one is done right. So for this one, it's gonna pass. This one passes the wash test results. Now for our superstar rating, let's go ahead and start with sturdiness. Now this one is only gonna get a 2 out of 5 for sturdiness. As you guys can see, it's kind of uneven with the springs. Overall, it just felt pretty flimsy. It's just a plastic piece. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. As far as being easy to use, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 as well. This one did require some assembly. It took about 20 minutes to put together, so it's gonna get a 2 out of 5 on that one. As far as pressure, this one's gonna get a 3 out of 5. It did have adequate pressure. You are able to easily adjust the knob, and I was able to get the results that I needed, so it's gonna get a 3 out of 5 for the pressure. Now heat distribution, I'm gonna give that also a 3. It did have some adequate heat within the press. We were able to get up to 295 degrees, but it did have some low areas of 245, so that was quite a 50 degree range. So again, 3 out of 5 on the heat distribution. Now the wash test, we're gonna give it a 4 out of 5 because it did do a good job on the wash test. So 4 out of 5 on that. Let's go ahead and head to the next press. So number 6, we got the PowerPress 15x15 heat press. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wash test results. Now what you're seeing here is you're seeing perfect presses. Now everything went through, all the fine little details came through, nothing's lifting from the edges. Everything is nice and crisp all around. And you see consistent lines all the way through the shirt, all the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. You can clearly see that it is embedded into the shirt, so it does pass our wash test. Now let's go ahead and give this a superstar rating. Now for sturdiness, it is quite heavy. It is built pretty well. One-piece construction. I did not have to install anything. Even the control was already built in. We're gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars on the sturdiness. Now as far as being easy to use, we're also gonna give this a 4. Very straightforward with the buttons. Everything is just easily able to use, able to adjust the knob right here. Again, 4 out of 5, pretty easy to use. Pressure, we're also gonna go ahead and give this one a 4 out of 5. It had adequate pressure. I was able to adjust it to the very max and even more if I needed to. So 4 out of 5. And then for the heat distribution, now this one also gets a 4 out of 5 because it did hit between 280 to 320. So it did hit at least our 300 degrees temperature and a little bit more, but overall the range was pretty good. It did have even heat all around, plus or minus some degrees, but overall 4 out of 5 on the heat. Now as far as the wash test, that's also gonna take home a 4. It passed our wash test. Obviously it's gonna last for quite a while. This is done right. Wash test, 4 out of 5. Now overall, out of 5 stars, we're gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So now let's go ahead to our last press. So the next press at number 7, this is gonna be a Royal Press 15 by 15. Let's go and take a look at the wash test results. Now, you're looking at all the details here. Everything transferred through fine. Even all the sides, everything was good. There's no premature wrinkling. And also, if you look closely, you do see the grain lines that run across the shirt. That shows the transfer was embedded correctly. This is gonna last a long time. This is done right. This is gonna pass our wash test challenge. Now let's go ahead and give this our superstar rating. Now this is also very sturdy, very heavy. I'm gonna go ahead and give this sturdiness a 4 out of 5. So it is built well, 4 out of 5 for sturdiness. Now as far as easy to use, very straightforward. You have some bonus like a countdown timer and also a t-shirt clock counter. So this one is gonna get a 4 out of 5 for easy to use. Now as far as pressure, it's also very easy to adjust. It's also had good results with the wash test. So for pressure, it's gonna get 4 out of 5 here. Now heat distribution, it was a little bit on the low end. It ranged between 245 to 295 in certain areas. So that was a big range and it didn't quite hit the 300 temperature, even though it was almost there. It did get a 3 out of 5 for the heat distribution. Now the wash test results, it's gonna get a 4 out of 5 because it was done right. I do see everything that is gonna be consisted of a t-shirt being done right. So it's gonna get a 4 out of 5 for the wash test. Now overall, out of 5, this one is gonna take a 3.8 out of 5. All right, superstars, so the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the champion, the winner of this heat press test challenge. Now it was between a few heat presses, but this one really took the icing on the cake, and the winner we have here is the PowerPress. So this is the PowerPress 15 by 15. As I mentioned earlier, I'm just gonna go over a couple key features why we really like this press and why this one stood out amongst the rest. Now, it is obviously a 15 by 15. It's not a 12 by 15. It wasn't really awkward to use. This will work on most shirts, most sweaters. 15 inches is a wide enough press for a lot of oversized designs as well. So that's very nice. Now, what also comes nice here is going to be the handle. I did have to assemble this handle, but what makes this nice is that you're able to hold this while you crank this up. So having this handle is a really, really nice bonus. So we really like that. Now it also comes for the most part pre-assembled except for the handle. Now it also has really good solid weight, so it's very sturdy. You didn't really have to put too much pressure on that. Even though there was no slide out, it actually has a little bit more room than normal heat presses. So that is also a bonus and makes it a little bit easier for you to use and load your shirts. And overall, it was pretty stable, but for the most part, it hit our 300 degrees. It even exceeded that slightly. So that is one of the main things that we liked about this press. And where most heat presses failed, where they were a lot colder and it wouldn't hit the 300. Again, this hit the 300. Now, two other major points about this heat press that made this special. It is only $199. We had a $300 budget and this was well below that. $199, that's a great deal. And it also comes with a 1-year manufacturer warranty. That's also really important when it comes to presses and it comes to machine. You have the company standing behind it. So this is why this took the crown. This is why it is the winner. This is the PowerPress 15 by 15. So I did want to share some last minute tips for you guys when you guys are deciding on the heat presses. Now keep in mind, this is a budget heat press. Now there are better presses out there, but when you're considering your heat press, number one, you want to consider your volume, your transfer frequency. If you're going to be doing more, you do want a different type of press that you can bang more out. Now number two, you want to decide on the size and the type of the product that you're going to be pressing on. Now we had some 16 by 20, some wider ones, 12 by 15. Those are good for larger items like banners and things of that nature, but you want to consider what you're going to be pressing on, and you want to get the heat press that's going to fit in that. Now, number 3, you also want to look for a machine that's user-friendly and that has easy maintenance, something that's easy on you, that's going to last for years, something to consider. Now, number 4, you want to check for the warranty, and you also want to check if they have a customer support. You don't want to be stuck with a machine that's uneven or that has issues that you're missing parts on. You want to find something that there's a company that they're going to stand by it. And number 5, you do want to get one of these infrared guns. This is going to test your temperature. We've tested a bunch of presses. Even though it says 300 degrees, it is rarely at that heat level. You also want to check for some cold spots, some hot spots. So you want to know where you should focus on your press on and where you should avoid pressing it on. So definitely get one of these infrared guns. It's going to help you. And if it doesn't hit that temperature, you can also increase your heat press. So even though you're not buying a new heat press, you have an old heat press already, calibrate, test where it's at. You might have to just manually increase it and it might do its job. So that's tip number 5. Now, as you become more advanced and experienced in the t-shirt game, you're gonna wanna look into different heat presses in the future. There are good brands like Stahls and Geonite where there's a lot of bells and whistles, but you also wanna look at some air pneumatic presses. Even the single or the double presses are very good. With the air pneumatic, it does use a compressor, but you're gonna get very consistent prints. It's gonna have really good pressure, and you're not gonna have to use your back or break your back in order to press. You just normally press your button or slide it through with the auto sensor, and it'll just press onto the t-shirt. So you definitely wanna look at those air pneumatic presses. That's really a game changer. That's what we recommend. So if you wanna up your game, that is something that you wanna look into. Now, lastly, I want to thank you guys for watching this video, investing the time with me so that we can test all these heat presses. And I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys liked this video, make sure you guys hit like. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys share it with a friend. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we do want to test our heat presses with our benchmark heat press. This is a Geonite DK20. We've had this one for years. We've been using it for a very long time. This is kind of what we use as a benchmark to rate our other heat presses. So you definitely want to watch the video where we're going to go through this heat press, show you guys all the bells and whistles and why we actually like this press. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I'll catch you guys on the next one.